Well, Kent Adams here with a very special edition of the Pulse of Spokane. Matter of fact, my guest is doing the only media interview with us here at Spokane Talks.
Exclusive.
Exclusive is the word. We'll be right back.
Starting a digging project? Before you reach for the shovel, you must click callbeforeyoudig.org, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. Protect our buried utilities and click callbeforeyoudig.org.
Well, Tyler LeMasters, I read about you in the paper yesterday.
Yeah.
You had a court hearing.
Yes.
Okay. Was that for drunk driving or what? No, I'm kidding, of course. You lost a case that came from friends of and participants at Planned Parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we know it's a left-wing organization.
Mm-hmm.
We know it was interesting that really the only coverage was talking to your attorney, and because you know better than talking with some of the media, especially certain media in town,
Right.
that don't quote you. Okay, I've told I don't know how many candidates and others
Right.
in positions of leadership here in town and so forth, that if they want to do an interview, come in and sit here and do it live, do it with recording.
Right. Yeah, this is just a better way to do it.
It really is.
I mean,
isn't it?
for the people who are not in the loop or just want to hear it straight up, basically, my name was stricken from the ballot.
Yes.
There was a court order to strike my name
Right.
from the ballot to run for city council. And that decision was made based off of the idea that and this is the crux of the issue. This is the crux of the issue. My time in Washington, D.C., working for the House of Representatives,
Yes.
specifically for Eastern Washington,
Right.
is now not considered civil service.
Okay.
And why that's important is because
It sets a precedent, doesn't it?
there's an exemption. So the city charter says that you must live in the district for a year before filing,
Right.
which would be May,
Right.
which so it works out to be about a year and X amount, before the actual campaign. I moved here October 28th.
Okay.
October 28th. So that's 5 months, a 5-month gap between May and October to account for,
Right.
where I didn't physically live in the district.
Right.
It says, though, in the city charter, that even though you have to live a year before filing, that you also don't lose that residency and eligibility if you are in the military or a civil servant.
Yeah.
And so clearly, we think, me and my lawyer and a lot of other people, and just the Washington State Constitution,
Right.
as well as federal statutes, say that anybody, this is actual statute, anybody who works for the U.S. government is considered a civil servant.
Right.
Anybody. And
Yeah.
so we felt really strong walking into court yesterday.
Right. Right.
And Judge Police ruled that for some reason, working in the legislative branch for the district
Right.
is not considered a civil servant.
Yeah.
Of course,
I hear from people that the decision was pretty quick.
she had made up her
She
mind.
made up her mind
She made
bef-
up her mind before she walked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a shame, because I mean, there's a reason you have your attorney there. There's a reason the other side. By the way, the other side's attorney, and this is what really bugs me too. Okay, because I did a commentary on money coming
From out of state.
from
Or from
well, the
the other
west
side of the
west
state,
side of the
yeah.
state here in town.
Yeah, and I think that's really frustrating, because, well, to be honest, I'm not super frustrated, but the irony is so thick.
Yeah.
They want to prove that I'm not a resident of Spokane, which just to be clear, the judge did not say I wasn't a resident, because I've been a registered voter since 2016.
Okay.
I've been a resident since 2014.
Yeah, you come from a military family that does a
and
lot of traveling.
I've been in Spokane since 2005.
Okay.
2005.
Wow.
My dad was squadron commander at the Air Force Base. I came back right after college.
Right.
Right after college. Did real estate for a couple years.
Right.
Lived on the South Hill. Then I moved to Browns Addition with my wife when we got married, also in the district. Then I went to China,
Right.
studied Chinese,
Okay.
student exemption. Then I went to D.C. and served Eastern Washington.
Right.
And by the way, civil service is a really important aspect of of what we do.
We need good
I mean,
people there.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the big problems with DC is that the people who work in those offices are not from the district.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about our office. I'm just talking about DC in general, right?
Yes. Traditionally, yes.
It's full of people who, I'm from Georgia, I'm working in California's office. I'm from California, I'm working in Washington's office.
Right.
And so you don't get good representation because they don't really care about things that affect the community.
It's all about the politics and moving up, isn't it?
Right. It's
For a
all
lot
about
of it.
moving up.
For a lot of
But
it.
for me, when I walked into that office and got that job, it was 100% because I wanted to serve the community. I mean, I took that job later in my career. I'm 30, about to be 31 now. I took that job when I was, 28.
Okay.
And so I had already had a career.
Yeah.
I'd already been a realtor. I made good money.
Yeah.
I had a future here in Spokane.
Right.
And I left because I wanted to develop skills and serve. And so when I got to DC, I took a huge pay cut.
Yes.
I was making take home $1,900 a month, living in one of the most expensive cities. And Judge Police pointed out, she goes, well, you didn't maintain a house here in Spokane while you were gone, and Congress people maintain houses.
Right.
So why didn't you maintain a house?
Right.
And the answer to that is,
How can you afford it?
well, they make money, and
Yeah.
I was making less than a minimum wage worker in literally one of the most expensive cities in America.
Right. Right.
So what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? But here's the thing. All that aside, this is the problem to me. The problem is the charter is there to put people who know the community in the community and to give people the chance to vote.
Right.
And this election was just decided for the voters in court.
Right. Right.
How is that right?
Well, and from somebody that was appointed in that position, now, yes, she'll be on the ballot and will be elected. And I put quotes around it because I don't care how good the write-in candidate may be, if there is one.
Right, there'll be no
It's
write-in.
still a totally uphill battle at this point, and we all know
Right.
that.
So for the people who don't know, she's the only
she gets
person
a
on
free
the ballot.
pass. She gets
Yeah.
a free pass. So now we have someone who's really hasn't
Yeah.
had to work for it, and she's
But forget Councilwoman Wilkerson for a
Okay.
second. I wasn't running against Wilkerson.
right.
I'm running against a political philosophy and a failure
Yes.
of Spokane as a whole.
Yes.
As a whole. The real tragedy isn't about me. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I've got a house on the South Hill.
A baby coming.
I've got a baby coming in
Yeah.
October.
Yeah.
I've got a beautiful wife. I've
Yes.
got a loving family.
Yes.
I've got so much. We're making a little bit of money. We're going to make it. We're going to be okay. I'm going to enjoy Spokane.
But we have no choice now.
But the problem
that's what's
is,
been taken from us.
is now we're stuck with the same people
Yes.
who are going to make the same decisions
Yes.
while our city literally decays. I mean, we just found out today that Hoop Fest is canceled.
Yes.
How are we going to keep this city alive
Yeah.
when we don't even have the things that have pumped the blood into the system?
Yeah.
Our housing market, our homelessness, our small business, they don't want to talk about those things.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about those things. They only want to write about me and my residency
Yeah.
or whatever. But I didn't have a single news source reach out to me all year
Yeah.
about policy.
Right.
Nobody asked me about policy all year,
Yeah.
except for you guys.
So, how do we begin to change this? And how do we encourage good people, honest people who want to be elected by their friends and peers in
Yeah.
Spokane and have that chance? How do we move in that direction? I mean, the things are set for this fall for
Yeah.
that campaign.
I mean, I wish I had an answer. This is my first time running for anything,
Yeah.
and you learn a lot.
Yeah.
To me, before running Spokane, the only characteristic of Spokane was just that I loved it and that the people here are just super kind and compassionate and loving, It's just such a great community. It's a beautiful, beautiful place with beautiful people. But politics draws a certain type of person,
Yeah.
and I don't fit that category.
It's tough, isn't it?
But
Politics are not like it used to be even 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
I don't know. I wasn't there then.
Well,
But-
I was. I was. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't running, but I know about politics in this town
Yeah.
for the 45 years I've been here. And years ago, I thought about running for office and so forth. And part of the fun of it, honestly, was the challenge to get out there and talk with people and hear issues and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's all become so nasty now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a good example.
I mean,
find it-
even take this article here
yes,
in the Spokesman.
yes,
First off, the first article they wrote about me, they wrote a lot of misquotes. I sent them the quotes in the emails, and they just wrote whatever they wanted
Yeah.
as a quote, and I had to say correct that because I didn't say that. But even this article, you know, these people struck someone off the ballot, me, and they're gloating. You know, the way they talk is cruel and malicious and nasty. You know, I would never talk about anybody like that. You know, when I call people out for things, it's because of actual things. But I don't.
their position,
Their
not
positions.
them. Yes.
I never call out people's character,
Yeah. Well, you're dealing with
not publicly.
You're dealing with a daily paper that family has supported Planned Parenthood, okay, in their newer building. So number one,
Yeah.
and I happen to like the family. That's not my point. But I love this total quote separation from journalists, from family, and other kinds of things.
Yeah.
They're not doing it there. They didn't do that to you, and I don't know if there was any collusion. I'm not going to accuse that of the paper and family with the Planned Parenthood, but it's an organization that needs to be closed down. They're aborting babies, okay?
That may be so, but I don't care about the organization. And I can be consistent on this. Planned Parenthood has nothing to do with local government. Them suing me makes about as much sense as the NRA suing somebody
Yeah.
to in a city council race
But-
or a school board meeting.
But
you
they
know,
can send the attorney like they did from
Seattle.
Seattle to come over to Spokane.
Yeah.
And just like they did for two races in town and two candidates, one of them is going through and going to challenge Jonathan Bingle and so forth because she's black and because she supports defunding police. That was their criteria. That's what it says on the website. I did a commentary, okay? Yes, money comes from Seattle. It always has, okay, especially in the last few years. But take a look at the organizations that are behind this. And this fellow that filed, and is it his wife or somebody else that filed against you?
I don't know. I could care less who they are, to be honest. Because
I know. But some of us do care, okay? I'm glad.
I
Tyler,
will say that those two people who filed the suit against me, they did live in the district.
yes, okay.
And I can honestly say that I don't have any ill feelings towards those people because I think that I've only had a day to kind of think about things.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
in the little time
Less
I've
than a
had,
day, yes.
in the little time I've had to kind of reflect on this year, it's important to remember that we don't put our hope in the government.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a good place to put your hope. I don't care if the person you want to be elected is elected or not. I don't care if you love the city as much as I do.
Yeah.
We don't put our hope in the government, and you have to know who you are before doing something like this.
Yes.
Because otherwise, if something like this is taken away from you, you'll be left with a void. And
Yeah.
the reality is I have my hope in my faith, you know, and that's where my identity is rooted. And so I'm not as concerned about, you know, when things don't go my way.
Right.
And I also don't have to harbor hate towards these people.
Right. But you're still
because-
concerned for the community.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And I think
Definitely.
that's what's important.
And I'm still going to do what I can to make the community a better place.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably be a little more selfish now and try to make some money and, you know, do those kinds of things because I
Well,
got
you have a wife and baby.
Yeah, I
you
got a
know.
baby
I mean,
on the
come
way.
on now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get serious. There are priorities.
But it was, you know, me and my wife talked about it. It was like, this was supposed to be a very selfless year, right?
Yeah.
And we knew that going in. I forfeited a lot of opportunities
I'm sure you did. Yes.
to, make some money and stuff like that because I really felt called to serve Spokane. And I think there's some good things that came out of this. I mean, the exposure of how corrupt our city is becoming
Yep.
while it's dying. It's not like it's corrupt and it's going well out there. Like it's corrupt, and the people who are corrupt are not making the city
Better.
a nice place to live.
No.
I mean, just right now, I just walked inside and there's a guy out there I was intimidated by.
Yeah.
And I'm a 6'2" guy, and it's
Yeah.
8:00 in the morning. Doesn't make sense.
Well, I did some walking around this downtown this week to some of my meetings and so forth.
Yeah.
And I see why my wife won't come downtown.
Yeah.
I felt pretty safe. I had my cell phone and everything else. And,
Yeah.
and I knew where certain people were and
Yeah.
businesses and so forth. That's an awful statement to make about our downtown. And
It's crawling up the hill too. I mean,
Yes.
it basically goes all the way up to close to 17th.
Yeah.
If you're talking Rosars, Huckleberry's area,
yeah,
it crawls up there.
Yep.
A lot of people are angry about that. There's a reason why they had to get me off this ballot.
yes,
And it's because, and I'm going to try to say this without an ego and try to say it without sounding arrogant, but I'm just going to say it because I think it's true.
Okay.
I'm the best candidate that's run on the South Hill for a long time.
yes,
For a long, long time.
yes. I'll agree.
And that standard is created or should be created by the voters themselves.
Yes,
So I can say that all I want, but then it has to be validated by the voters.
yes,
I knocked on 5,000 doors this year.
yeah,
Betsy knocked on, I think, 0.
yeah,
I've been reaching out to people that nobody has ever reached out to before.
yeah,
Groups of people who have been disenfranchised from the political elites who are not concerned about them. They don't need their support.
right.
I don't care they don't need their support. I reached out to them because I wanted to hear their story and their perspective and their needs.
Right.
And because I put in all this work this year, I created a grassroots support system. I think we were going to get, I didn't say this while I was running because I didn't want to give it away, but I predicted we were going to get 10,500 votes. And I predicted that was going to be enough to win in an off-year election.
Yeah.
With low voter turnout.
Right, yes.
And so, to me, I think they realized that Betsy's not been running a
Let's
campaign
just get him
all
off
year.
the ballot. It makes it easy.
Let's just get him off the ballot
Yeah.
because he's going to win.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy not for me, but it is a tragedy for housing and
Our voters
homelessness
and
small business,
everybody else.
policing.
I live in the same district you do on the South Hill, okay, which unfortunately has become more liberal and more liberal in so many ways. We've got 2 liberal not candidates, but council people.
Yeah.
And I get a kick out of, kick is probably not the right word, but it's very sad to me to see the response from Betsy and Lori to Chud Wendell and the downtown group that's working on that. Well, we'll engage now and be working on something. This was
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks ago. Where have they been the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
They've created the problem, and now they're going to get engaged.
Yeah.
But Betsy is part of this group to defund the police. We don't need to defund the police. We need to respect them more and maybe bring in more. Okay,
Train them better.
We need to. Well, yeah. I mean, I'll pull up. I did yesterday to a policeman in a car next to me, and I went thumbs up to him. Literally a few weeks ago, I was
And then
coming.
he arrested you.
Huh?
And then he arrested you.
Yes, well, that's why we won't go
Yeah.
there. Okay, yeah.
He's like,
well,
"What'd
just
you do?"
because of looks, if nothing else, right? And a couple weeks ago, there were 2 policemen out in the back. They were probably had pulled somebody over earlier, and the first thing I did was thank you, and
Yeah.
they kind of turned around like they don't hear that enough. We need
Yeah.
to thank them. I know several
Yeah.
several policemen. We've got a great chief of police, as we do in terms of sheriff in this town and so forth.
We have a good police force here.
Yes, we
And they
do.
work super hard.
We-
Which reminds me,
Do
I'm
the
going to
police
use.
people make mistakes? I make mistakes.
Yeah.
Do you make mistakes?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not perfect. Okay.
That reminds me, I'm going to use this opportunity real
Okay.
quick. I'm going to be selfish. I want to say thank you to all the people who've been supportive this year,
Yes.
all the donors.
Yes.
I think 50 plus donors.
Yes.
A lot of them are smaller donations, $150, $200, even $35.
Which may be big to them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So thank you to all those people who supported the campaign.
Good.
All the people who put signs in their yards. I
Yes.
really appreciate that. Through fundraisers for me.
Right.
All the people who went to bat for me on, social media saying we support this guy.
Yeah.
Also, just the police officers who have been really supportive this year. That's been really huge. Taking me on ride-alongs, getting me acquainted with the city. And then just my wife has been great and supportive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
appreciate
during
her.
a challenging time when you're pregnant.
Right.
Having been a husband
Yeah.
to my wife for
Yeah.
50-some years and 4 kids. That's a challenging time,
Yeah.
okay? I mean, your emotions and everything else. I mean,
For sure.
you're going out to talk to more people tonight, those kinds of things. And I get
Yeah.
that.
And to those people that I'm very thankful for,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yes. Well, that's not your fault.
but I'm not sorry because it's my fault. I'm just sorry that this was just taken from us.
Yes.
And I think it is a tragedy, and it's only been a day. I don't really know what to do about it, but I would appeal it if I could.
But it's too short a time to do that, isn't it?
There's no statute for appealing this
okay.
kind of thing. It's almost impossible,
Yeah.
and it would cost me a lot.
I was going to say,
a
the
lot of
only
money.
people that ever win in this are attorneys, unfortunately, in
Yeah.
almost any legal issue.
I had a great representation, by the way. Yeah.
Did you?
I did.
Good, good.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's
We
important.
did a good job.
Yeah.
So
So next is back to business. You're doing. You're planning to do some things.
yeah,
Will there be fun things that you enjoy? That's
Of course.
important. Okay.
I love Spokane, so
Yeah.
everything I do here, I love doing.
Yes. Yeah.
A realtor bringing on a listing soon, next
Oh,
couple
yeah.
days, so that'll
Okay.
be fun. Travel around doing some other side hustle work.
Right. Right.
We'll see. I've always had a dream of building a private library
Okay.
that's portable and movable. So I might think about doing that. We'll see.
You're going to keep in touch with us, though, right?
Of course.
You'll come in every so often.
Yeah, I'm gonna do shows when I can.
Okay.
Yeah, when you let me.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping up the last year to do
Appreciate
this.
it.
I'm sorry it was taken away from you.
It's all good.
Because if nothing else, we need a choice. And
Yeah.
a judge and others have taken that choice away from me as a voter.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's
But
what
they've shown their true colors.
Yes. Yes.
We did such a good job running this campaign
Yeah.
that they were forced to resort to the very last thing,
yeah.
which is using the law against us.
Well, but don't forget, we
a weapon.
have a pretty good audience and
Hmm.
reach, and we're going to be starting to do some news. Oh, I shouldn't probably say that, but after Labor Day, Spokane Talks is going to look a little more different than it has. We're going to cover some things that the other stations either cover with a purpose behind it,
Mhm.
and we're going to tell both sides, okay? We're going to tell the other side that often doesn't get told here in Spokane.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm getting a lot of very positive feedback from folks who said, oh, finally, we're going to have a chance to hear some rational discussions.
Right.
So we've done a good job, I think,
Yeah.
on our news, views, and conversations. We're now going to be into doing news
We need
and views.
we need reliable news here.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to give some of these other organizations news
Right.
because they
can't
won't
trust-
even bring me on just to talk.
Yeah.
Say, well, we don't first just give us something for our print.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? So you can chop up my quote and make me
Pick and
look
choose
like an
what I
idiot?
say of you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so
thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
thank you. I know you're headed out today for another project and so forth, and a little bit of driving this morning and so forth.
That's right.
So drive safely. Have a good day, okay?
Yeah, I will.
Tyler LeMasters, thank you for standing up for our community. Have a good day, everybody.